Thank you very much, Pyra, indeed. And welcome, everybody, to the post-game lobby, where we are still here and we are going to break down everything that happened today and a lot more. And there's a lot to break down from that last game. And we want to start by the end. We didn't get to look at it, but Kakao actually managed to steal or take the Baron. We don't know what happened. So we're going to take a look and have Misfits finish the game. Did they steal the game?
Did they steal the game? I felt like Rocket should have won this game, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, but like I didn't feel like it was like a super insane comeback or something. It was more like both teams had a chance to win, but Rocket should have won.
I agree. I think Rocket should have definitely won the game. They had like all the opportunities to end the game. I mean, not end, but take advantage, and they don't use like their advantage.
I want to take a look at the pick and ban and use a quote from Exiles during the game. He said, "If you win with this comp, it's disrespect. If you lose with it, you're being cocky." Can you explain why on the side of Misfits?
I think that, like, overall their comp, if you look at it, they drafted, like, the picks that I want to highlight are Kennen and Orianna. Basically, if you pick Orianna, you want to go for team fights, right? And if you pick Kennen, then you want to go for 1-3-1 comp. And Orianna doesn't fit into this style. So if you pick Kennen first, then you want to have a split push mid lane. They could have picked Katarina or Corki in this case into it, or they just go for a tank top lane and then they go for team fights with Orianna, which is also fine.
Because they could actually have like first picked Shen in the second pick phase, but they decided to ban it. I'm actually not sure. I guess they wanted to ban it because they didn't want to play Kennen split push against the Shen. But like you could just first pick that Shen and then pick the same like Corki, something like that for the last pick, and you had like I think an easier to play 1-3-1. Because the problem with Kennen AD carry or Kennen attack speed build, which obviously was used over in LCK quite a lot, is that it's only really like good in split push. Like your team fighting is extremely weak, especially compared to Maokai.
Won in the game.
Yeah, he won the game by split pushing, obviously, but he was actually part of losing the game with his team for like 35, 40 minutes, which was a big issue.
Yeah, jungle picks. Not your favorites again. What are your opinions on Kha'Zix and Lee Sin? Yeah, well,
Okay,
you'd always
so
go for Ivern.
I think Kha'Zix is really good and it's broken, but I'm not so sure it should be like blind pick and like first pick every game. Because like in this game, they had all the tools to like kind of shut down Kha'Zix, and we saw like in late game, like he wasn't that useful anymore. He was only good for early game.
Same one for Lee Sin?
I guess it was fine, but I think he could have done more in the early game as well. Like, you get Lee Sin to get something in the early game.
Yeah. All right, well, as we said, Misfits, in the end, they win it, but Roccat deserved to win. And you want to take a look at some of the mid-game moves they made, Baron specifically?
Yeah, so this is kind of the same as the replay we had after last game, where we want to show like a point in the mid game where everything slows down and why it's slowing down. So what you should notice instantly is like the vision Rocket is setting up around Baron, but then Xerxes, what they actually decide to do with this vision now that we roll the replay. Because it's going to be a big problem. Like you're setting up all this vision here.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask the $1 million question here to two pro players. When you set up full vision around Baron, should you then play around Baron, or should you leave the lane? It's a big question here.
Well, here you should just play around the vision you got. Like,
but where are they going then?
Like here, like going on Kennen, you just lose all the vision you put, all the pressure you had, and you had like Maokai with TP just base and come with TP with Homeguard and TP behind them, and you can either do that or 5-man Baron and force Kennen TP. And then you have the TP advantage.
Yeah, because as we saw here, Rocket decided to put up all the vision and say, screw that, we don't want to play Baron anyway. They tried to gank the Kennen bot lane for some really weird reason, obviously didn't work. And as we just saw in the end, Misfits just walks in, clear out every single ward, take control of the Baron, and basically forces Rocket to reset the whole thing again, spend another few minutes on getting new wards, setting them up again, and it just slows down the entire mid game. And that was why Rocket couldn't actually get Baron fast enough.
I mean, when they play against Kennen, like Kennen is so bad, like with this AD build in team fighting, that they just have to force fights. They have to push out mid, get into top side jungle, bait Baron, and when the enemy team comes to get vision on the Baron, then they just TP behind and force the fight. Like, you have to team fight against this Kennen.
And when you win, you get to meet the fans. That's a lot of fun.
That's true. But your Baron, well, actually, these guys were fine because it was Rocket we flaming right here. So, but another thing actually happened then right after, because then Misfits ends up in the mid game kind of dropping the ball a little bit, and specifically Kakao in our next replay, because after Rocket had now kind of failed getting the Baron and everything was delayed, they actually still get an opening because Kakao ends up obviously going down to the bottom side. I think we might have a replay of this right here. Just look at your minimap, guys.
Yeah.
Xerxes, you really wanted to talk about this.
So I guess the replay should have been a bit earlier. Okay, so there was I think it was a pink in the Sky Bush bot lane, and Kakao was spotted there. But even then, like, there was absolutely no reason to go bot lane. Okay, you go bot lane, you kill that Maokai, and then what? They can still do Baron, and you get at most 2 turrets. And now you got spotted, you didn't get the kill, you would have gotten the turret anyway, and here you just lost the Baron.
Yeah, and now Rocket can just burn it because the jungler is not there, so there's no chance of like a smite
And
steal.
here just disengage. You have no reason to fight here. And it's really good.
They're trying to disengage.
They were,
Too late.
they did. It's just,
Yeah.
it was really weird to see like Misfits then suddenly say, okay, we know the entire game plan is around Baron right now, and the setup you talked about, like set up Baron, start Baron, force a team fight, and then they actually go bot lane with Kakao to try and make a really risky play. Backfires completely. So like 2 really big blunders by these 2 teams here in the mid early late game. That was part of why this game was also
Messy.
like super messy and very, very
scrappy.
long.
Yeah, Misfits drop the ball here. Power of Evil drops the ball in the next one, but they steal Baron with it, so let's take a look at that. Again, Rocket does get in the position where they can take it, but yeah, and Orianna, how are you supposed to shield this at this time? How is Rocket supposed to play this?
I don't think you even do Baron here.
No, this Baron is just 50-50 and it's not good. I mean, the best way to do it, you just have, you need a member of your team to suicide to kind of stop the Kha'Zix, and not 50-50, but Kha'Zix got QSS at this point, and there is no way you can stop him actually. So this is just 50-50.
It would have got, Kakao would have smited it.
Well,
anyway.
he did smite
Yeah.
and then into the shockwave of Power of Evil.
Is there a bit of a discrepancy here? I heard you say you do take the 50-50. I prefer to take the 50-50 Barons.
I don't think the 50 Baron is that good. Just depends if you can burst it down. Some teams prefer to do this. But I think what they should have done is tank it up with Maokai. He's a tank, he can take as many Baron shots as he wants and still turn after. And this is the advantage of having a tank for Baron, right? They should just tank up the Baron, wait for them to come, and then they just Jhin ultimate, Malzahar flash ultimate onto someone, and then just force a fight with this man advantage they have.
I think the problem they had here as well was just summoner spells were down. Like Marco had no flash, he had no TP, so there's no way for him to he could only hit a guy right at the edge of Baron. I don't know actually what Jhin had in this fight, if he could have joined as well. And then there was QSS on Kakao already, so Malzahar couldn't even ulti Kakao outside the pit and stop him from jumping in, because you just QSS it and get in anyway. I think just honestly there, when you don't have TP and you don't have any proper setup, this late in the game, I think you just don't do the Baron. You wait 2 or 3 more minutes, and then I think you make the play with Maokai.
And case in point, Flash was up for Maokai, TP was up for Maokai later in the game, and we see Rocket going for the play around the Elder Drake. Maokai TP's in behind them in a second, flashes over the wall and engages, which is a right decision, and another reason why I think you guys keep saying that they should have won the game.
Yeah, I mean, these 2 guys were yelling and yelling and yelling about TPs from Maokai, because there's so many deep votes from Rocket, and they finally get it. But in the end, is this the correct play from Misfits then to actually walk into side and try a Baron? Oh, sorry, try Dragon when there is a chance of so many wards behind them?
I think they should set up the cannon for split push, actually. Oh, wait, right now? I'm actually not sure. I guess they have to group with cannon and just try to bait out the TP from Maokai, because this is the biggest threat, right, they have. So I guess going for a team fight here is they kind of have to force it.
So if Exile is even not sure when he gets 10 seconds to think about it, can we realistically expect these teams to know exactly what they should do? Well,
I think it's hard. I
Yeah.
mean, it's obviously much easier for us to sit here with these armchair analysts next to us in the Unicorn space. So it is really hard, obviously, when you're in game. I think just overall, there was a very clear divide. The one comp for Misfits wanted to split push with one guy. The other comp really wanted to just team fight with the Maokai. And whenever we had team fights like this, we actually saw Rocket win the fights.
yeah.
Problem was they were never able to actually take it and push it all the way in to finish, because when they finally were pushing the top side, we got the shockwave from Power of Evil that killed Wadid and hit Yanan as well. Forced them back, and then Alfaro took 2 turrets in bot lane and
I think he
inhib.
got an inhib there.
Yeah, he got inhib as well. And then he came back later, got a Nexus turret and another one, and then in the end they backdoored. So there were some of these mistakes where they were just about to push in for the finish with the big team fight,
Yeah.
and then 1 or 2 guys get caught, and then they end up losing the game.
Unfortunately for Rocket, the player of the series once again, Ignar from the side of Misfits, that's the same. That's not 2 series in a row. I think it came up already. So that's fantastic. And our player of the series for our first game of the day or match of the day, the Unicorns of Love versus Origin, was Hele-san. And we're going to look back at that series. You guys are still here. Some people might not have seen it. A 2-0 for you guys once again. Can you give us the TLDR of your match versus Origin, Cersei?
Okay, so for the first game, we had scaling team comp and we had like... Okay, so we kind of lost the early game, like fights, and we kind of died 1v1, but our team comp was still like better and we were scaling better anyway, so we just had to stall the game and we would win.
Why do you like Rumble so much?
I think his jungle clear and his even 1v1 potential is really good. And the AoE threat from your ulti is so insane. And you can flex pick. It's also a good flex.
And I guess also against like all these like squishy low mobility ones, targets. This is one of my favorite moments, by the way. We were screaming for like big highlight plays, and then Wisdom jumps in and it's a Zac with passive, and then Taps actually flashes the wall here and doesn't kill anyone, and this is like, game is over. This was game 2, by the way, for everyone watching, where again you guys fell behind a little bit, but then like it was like you guys fell behind, but it never felt like the game was lost, because whenever we got to late game fights, you guys were just much better.
Yeah, we just had the better scaling team comp.
I also feel like you played them better.
Well, okay, we played better because like with the advantage they got in the early game, they don't do anything. Like that's the problem, because like they got the advantage but they didn't use it. That's the problem.
In this game, Exile, this was the game where you got camped, you had no summoners, your jungler was a Zac who didn't want to help you, so you got ganked like 3 times.
Yeah, this was, I mean, you could basically say it's the result of the early invade, maybe.
Yeah, the early invade also, where Zac obviously dies and gives the kill to Hecarim. For yourself or for people at home, when they are feeding and feeding and feeding in lane, what could you have? Was there anything different you could have done? Like, was there anything? Did you misplay anything you feel in the early game, or was it just like doomed from the get-go?
I think I could have avoided one gank when I should have hacked the right side a bit more. Like, I think it was the first gank or something. But I believe after this there was, not much to do actually. Like, I mean, I could have warded out, but in the end I got dived. I believe on the second gank or third gank.
Yeah.
And then it's like, there's like not much you can do.
He stayed at his tower, but Hecarim just came from behind him.
Yeah, and I got one-shotted, I believe, on the second gank.
You also used flash on that gank. You tried to flash forward, so you didn't have flash actually when he dove you right after. But I guess, I mean, there's really nothing you could do there.
It was mostly my fault, actually. Like, I was behind because of that bad invade, and Hecarim, like, didn't care about me, so...
Was it your call?
Yeah.
All right, well, see,
But
everything's owned up. It's all good. One thing I want to ask, though, your team fighting looked extremely crisp, and I think that is one of the reasons why you guys, with relative ease, came back in both of those games. Not easy comps to work out, in my opinion. You have the Jhin, you have to set up with the Rumble Ultimate. We know how easy that is to fumble. We have the Rice TPing in with the Shen. I feel like there was a lot of coordination involved. If so, do you guys agree? And do you guys feel that your team fighting right now is just going really well, even though you had that last-minute change in the bottom lane? So it's not like you've been together for a year.
I think right now, like, basically all those comps that we play on stage, we practice in scrims, right? And then, like, the situations that we occur in the game, they're not really, like, unique. We play them over and over. And I think our communication now, especially because we're, like, fully European team right now, like, our communication is really good in the game. And yeah, I think that team fights in general, like, we always call a clear target, and we are all really aware of what's going on in the team fight. And I think that's like a really big advantage that we have. So I think we can play this out well.
Yeah, looked really good indeed, and I'll be looking forward to those team fights in that H2K game on Saturday as well. We are going to take a look at our updated standings after the first day of the week here, week 2 of the split. Still at the top of Group A, G2 Misfits are now 2-0, and H2K and the Unicorns of Love are at the top of Group B.
It's always kind of funny looking at standings very early on in the split, because usually like 2-0, 0-1s. Like, Fnatic obviously sitting here, I'm sure they're going to pick up some wins as well, but I feel like your group, and I want to ask you guys about this, I feel like Group B is going to be stronger than Group A. Not because I think like you guys are going to be stronger than G2 or anything, but I think just like Splice, H2K, Unicorns, I think all 3 will be good, and I think Vitality has more potential to become like a contender than Giants and Rocket have.
I think our group is just more competitive. And,
But do you think that's going to be a problem at all? Or do you think like easy peasy first place?
and no.
No?
No. Like,
I mean, I guess H2K right now is favorites actually for first place.
and yeah, but I still think we can be the first place as well.
So just beat H2K on Saturday.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
And then later on in the season, also beat them again. I
Yeah,
guess.
that's the plan.
All right. Well, that's all that's said about that series then. Our match of the week. They're not going to let us look into their cards too much.
I mean, they don't really want to reveal anything.
No.
It's been like, I think maybe Ivern is a pick.
I think they're
Just
pretty
from what
happy
I've
about
heard
Ivern.
Today, Ivern might be considered
Yeah.
in
All
this
right.
pick and ban phase.
Well, then let's move on and see what we have on our plates here. Tomorrow, another day of broadcast, and actually 3 more days coming. And then tomorrow we'll have Vitality versus Splice to kick everything off, and Giants versus Fnatic. So Fnatic, they've been very vocal on social media. This is the match that we want to take. We have to win this one. It'll be very exciting. What are your predictions for these matches, guys? Vitality, Splice?
I think Splice takes the first series. I'm pretty sure they do. And I go for Fnatic for the second one. Goes
right.
2-0 for either Splice and Fnatic.
Okay, Sergey?
Splice wins 2-1 and Fnatic wins 2-0.
Ah, you were the only one that was correct today. You said 2-0 for Misfits as well, so.
Do you have any idea how Splice, because we talked about Splice, all the players about how Splice have been very good in scrims before, and they were very surprised they lost so hard to H2K. Do you have any experience playing against them or anything, and like they were underperforming on stage? Or?
I think we've only scummed them once so far.
Only once.
And
Okay.
yeah, it went pretty well actually. Like when we scummed them for us.
No, telling smirk.
I just feel like Splice is one of the teams that's really hard to talk about right now because same roster as last played. We at least expect them to come in and be like a top team. Yes, they only had 1 series, but they got like super stomped against H2K. And I want to obviously see them bounce back now. I think they will. But I just wonder like if Splice is this kind of team that actually has the chance of really going downhill and not being as good as we expect.
Well, we will see tomorrow. For now, though, it is time for us to log off here at the European LCS. Thank you very much, our guest from the Unicorns of Love, for joining us. And join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central European Time. That is 8 a.m. Pacific for our friends across the Atlantic as the 2017 EULCS Spring Split continues. Good night.